Stop reflux now. 5 common habits after 60 that you need to quit. You ever wondered why that burning sensation in your chest seems to get worse as you get older? Or why certain foods that never bothered you before suddenly leave you reaching for antacids? If you're over 60 and dealing with acid reflux, you're definitely not alone. But here's what might surprise you. Some of the habits you've developed over the years could be making your reflux significantly worse without you even realizing it. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 surprisingly common habits that people over 60 unknowingly practice every single day that are secretly fueling their reflux symptoms. But more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to break these habits and start feeling relief faster than you might think possible. By the time you finish watching this video, you'll understand why your reflux might be getting worse, despite trying different medications, and you'll have a clear action plan to start turning things around. Trust me. Habit number 3 is going to shock you because it's something most doctors never even ask about. Yet it could be the root cause of your nighttime reflux episodes. Let me ask you something right off the bat. When was the last time you woke up in the middle of the night with that familiar burning sensation creeping up your throat? How many times this week have you found yourself avoiding foods you used to love because you know they'll trigger that uncomfortable feeling? And here's the real question that might surprise you. Have you ever stopped to think that some of your daily routines, habits you've probably had for decades, might be the actual culprits behind your worsening reflux symptoms? Now, I want you to really think about this, because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another list of foods to avoid or medications to try. This is about identifying and eliminating specific behavioral patterns that are working against you every single day. And the best part is that once you understand these habits, you can start making changes that will have you feeling better within just a few days. But you have to stick with me until the end, because each habit builds on the previous one. And if you miss even one piece of this puzzle, you might not get the full relief you're looking for. Have you noticed that your reflux symptoms seem to be more unpredictable now than they were when you were younger? Does it sometimes feel like even your safest foods suddenly turn against you? Well, there's actually a scientific reason for this, and it has everything to do with how our bodies change after 60, but more importantly, how our long-established habits interact with these changes in ways that create the perfect storm for acid reflux. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening inside your body and why the solutions that worked for you in your 40s and 50s might not be cutting it anymore. The first habit that's sabotaging your digestive health after 60 is something so automatic, so ingrained in your daily routine, that you probably don't even think about it anymore. But here's the thing. This habit affects not just when you eat, but how your stomach processes food, how much acid it produces, and most critically, how well your lower esophageal sphincter functions throughout the day and night. Are you curious about what this habit is? Do you find yourself eating your largest meal of the day later in the evening? Have you fallen into the pattern of having a light breakfast, maybe skipping lunch or eating very little, and then having a substantial dinner because that's when you finally have time to relax and enjoy your food? This eating pattern, which seems completely natural and even practical, is actually working against your digestive system in multiple ways. And here's why this becomes especially problematic. After 60, your metabolism has naturally slowed down, which means your stomach takes longer to empty. Your digestive enzymes aren't as active as they used to be. Your lower esophageal sphincter, that crucial muscle that keeps stomach acid where it belongs, becomes weaker with age. When you combine these age-related changes with the habit of eating your biggest meal late in the day, you're essentially asking your already compromised digestive system to handle its heaviest workload at the worst possible time. But here's what really happens when you eat a large meal within 3 to 4 hours of bedtime. Your stomach is still actively producing acid and working to break down all that food. When you lie down, gravity stops helping keep that acid in your stomach where it belongs, and your weakened lower esophageal sphincter has to work overtime against both the increased acid production and the change in position, which is why so many people over 60 experience their worst reflux symptoms at night. Have you ever noticed that your reflux is worse on nights when you've had a later or larger dinner? Do you find yourself propping up extra pillows or even sleeping in a recliner to get comfortable? These are clear signs that your eating timing is working against you now. The second habit that's contributing to your reflux might actually surprise you, because it's something that many people consider healthy, but the timing and the way you're doing it could be making your symptoms significantly worse. Are you someone who drinks a lot of water with your meals? Do you find yourself reaching for beverages to help wash down your food or to help with digestion while staying hydrated is absolutely important, especially as we age? Drinking large amounts of liquid during meals creates several problems for people prone to reflux, and this becomes even more pronounced after 60, when our digestive systems aren't working as efficiently as they used to. Here's exactly what happens when you drink too much fluid with your meals. You dilute your stomach acid, which might sound like a good thing if you're dealing with reflux, but your stomach actually needs that acid concentration to properly break down food. So when you dilute it, your stomach has to work harder and longer to digest your meal, keeping acid production elevated for extended periods. Additionally, all that extra liquid increases the volume of contents in your stomach, creating more pressure against your lower esophageal sphincter. And remember, that muscle is already weaker than it used to be, so any additional pressure makes it more likely that acid will escape into your esophagus. But there's another aspect of this habit that most people don't realize. When you drink cold beverages with hot meals, or even room temperature water with warm food, you're creating temperature fluctuations in your stomach that can actually slow down the entire digestive process. And slower digestion means food sits in your stomach longer, acid production continues longer, and you have a higher chance of experiencing reflux symptoms. Have you ever paid attention to whether your reflux is worse on days when you drink more during meals? Do you notice a difference between drinking warm versus cold beverages with your food? These subtle patterns can give you valuable clues about how this habit might be affecting you personally. The third habit I want to talk about is one that most doctors never even ask about during reflux consultations, but it could be the hidden trigger that's making all your other efforts to control reflux less effective. Are you someone who tends to lie down or recline shortly after eating? And I'm not just talking about going to bed right after dinner. I'm talking about settling into your favorite recliner to watch television, lying down on the couch to read, or even just slouching way back in your chair after a meal. This might seem like a harmless way to relax after eating, especially when you're tired or your energy levels aren't what they used to be. But this habit creates the perfect conditions for acid reflux, and it's particularly problematic for people over 60. Here's the science behind why this position is so detrimental to your digestive health. When you're upright, gravity works as your ally, helping keep stomach contents and acid down in your stomach where they belong. But when you recline or lie down, you remove gravity from the equation, and suddenly your lower esophageal sphincter has to do all the work of keeping acid from flowing backward into your esophagus. Now, remember what we talked about earlier? This muscle naturally weakens with age, so asking it to work without gravity's help is like asking someone to carry a heavy load uphill instead of on level ground. But there's more to this than just the position itself. When you lie down or recline after eating, you also slow down your stomach's ability to empty properly, which means food and acid sit in your stomach longer than they should, creating more opportunities for acid to escape upward. Additionally, this position can actually increase the production of stomach acid because your body interprets the lying down position as a signal that it's time to rest and digest, which triggers additional acid production at exactly the wrong time. Have you ever noticed that you're more likely to experience reflux symptoms when you've relaxed in a reclined position after eating? Do you find that even short naps after meals leave you with that familiar burning sensation? This pattern recognition is crucial because it helps you understand how your specific habits are contributing to your symptoms. Now, let's talk about the fourth habit. And this one might hit close to home because it's related to stress and how we handle the pressures of daily life, especially as we get older and face new challenges like health concerns, family responsibilities, or lifestyle changes. Are you someone who tends to eat quickly, especially when you're feeling stressed, busy, or distracted? Do you find yourself multitasking during meals, perhaps reading the news, watching television, or even handling phone calls while you eat? This habit of distracted or hurried eating becomes more problematic after 60 for several important reasons. First, when you eat quickly, you don't give your brain enough time to register that you're full, which often leads to overeating. And we already know that larger meals put more pressure on your lower esophageal sphincter and increase your risk of reflux. But there's another crucial factor. When you eat rapidly, you don't chew your food thoroughly, which means larger food particles reach your stomach, and your stomach has to produce more acid and work much harder to break down these bigger pieces of food. This extended acid production and increased stomach activity significantly raise your chances of experiencing reflux symptoms. The stress component of this habit is equally important because stress itself affects digestion in multiple ways. It can increase stomach acid production, slow down stomach emptying, and even relax the lower esophageal sphincter, all of which contribute to reflux symptoms. When you combine the physical act of eating quickly with the mental state of being stressed or distracted, you're creating a double whammy effect on your digestive system. Have you noticed that your reflux symptoms are worse during particularly stressful periods of your life? Do you find that meals eaten while multitasking or when you're feeling rushed tend to cause more discomfort? These connections are more important than you might realize because they show you how your emotional state directly impacts your physical symptoms. The fifth and final habit I want to discuss with you is something that affects millions of people over 60, but it's rarely connected to reflux symptoms in most people's minds. Yet it could be the underlying factor that's making all your other reflux management efforts less successful. This habit has to do with your sleep patterns and specifically the timing of your sleep in relation to your meals. But it goes deeper than just not eating late at night. It's about your entire sleep-wake cycle and how it affects your digestive processes. Are you someone whose sleep schedule has changed significantly as you've gotten older? Do you find yourself going to bed earlier than you used to? Or perhaps staying up later because you're not as tired as you once were? Maybe you're taking naps during the day because your nighttime sleep isn't as restful as it used to be. These changes in your sleep patterns can have a profound impact on your digestive health and your reflux symptoms. And here's why. Your digestive system operates on its own circadian rhythm, just like your sleep-wake cycle. And when these rhythms get out of sync, it can disrupt the normal production of digestive enzymes and stomach acid. When your sleep schedule is irregular, your body doesn't know when to ramp up or dial down acid production, which can lead to inappropriate acid production at times when your stomach is empty, or insufficient acid production when you actually need it for digestion. Additionally, poor sleep quality affects your stress levels, and as we discussed earlier, stress directly impacts reflux symptoms by increasing acid production and affecting the function of your lower esophageal sphincter. But here's something that might surprise you. The quality of your sleep also affects inflammation throughout your body, including inflammation in your esophagus and stomach lining. And chronic inflammation can make you more sensitive to acid and more prone to experiencing reflux symptoms even with small amounts of acid exposure. Have you noticed a connection between nights when you don't sleep well and days when your reflux symptoms are worse? Do you find that changes in your sleep routine, like staying up late or getting up much earlier than usual, seem to trigger digestive issues? Now, you might be wondering how these 5 habits work together to create or worsen your reflux symptoms. And understanding these connections is crucial because addressing just one or the habits while ignoring the others might give you some relief, but it won't give you the comprehensive improvement you're looking for. Think of these habits as links in a chain. Each one contributes to the problem, and the more links you have, the stronger the chain of symptoms becomes. But the good news is that when you start breaking these links, the entire chain weakens rapidly. For example, when you eat your largest meal late in the day and then lie down or recline shortly afterward, you're combining the first and third habits, which creates a compounding effect on your reflux symptoms. Add in drinking a lot of fluids during that late meal, and you've now engaged 3 habits that work synergistically to increase your symptoms. If you're also eating that meal quickly while stressed or distracted, and your sleep patterns are irregular, all 5 habits are now working together to create the perfect storm for severe reflux symptoms. But here's the encouraging part. These same habits can work in reverse to help improve your symptoms when you start making changes. When you shift your largest meal to earlier in the day, stay upright for at least 3 hours after eating, limit fluids during meals, eat slowly and mindfully, and establish a regular sleep routine, each positive change supports and amplifies the others, creating a positive cycle of improvement rather than a negative cycle of worsening symptoms. Let me give you some specific strategies for addressing each of these habits, because knowing what to change is only half the battle. You also need to know how to change it in a way that's sustainable and realistic for your lifestyle. Starting with the timing of your meals. Instead of trying to completely overhaul your eating schedule overnight, which can be overwhelming and difficult to maintain, try gradually shifting your dinner time earlier by just 15 minutes every few days until you're eating your largest meal at least 4 hours before bedtime. but I want to be realistic with you about the timeline for seeing improvements, because managing expectations is important for long-term success. Some people notice a reduction in their nighttime reflux symptoms within just a few days of changing their meal timing and post-meal positions, while improvements in overall reflux frequency and severity typically become noticeable within 2 to 3 weeks of consistently implementing these habit changes, and the full benefits, including improved sleep quality and energy levels, usually become apparent within 4 to 6 weeks of making these modifications. During this adjustment period, it's important to track your symptoms so you can see the connection between your habit changes and your improvements. Consider keeping a simple journal where you note what time you ate your largest meal, whether you stayed upright after eating, how much you drank during meals, how quickly you ate, what time you went to bed, and what your reflux symptoms were like that day and night. This tracking will help you identify which changes are having the biggest impact on your symptoms and will keep you motivated during the adjustment period. But I want to be realistic with you about the timeline for seeing improvements, because managing expectations is important for long-term success. Some people notice a reduction in their nighttime reflux symptoms within just a few days of changing their meal timing and post-meal positions, while improvements in overall reflux frequency and severity typically become noticeable within 2 to 3 weeks of consistently implementing these habit changes, and the full benefits, including improved sleep quality and energy levels, usually become apparent within 4 to 6 weeks of making these modifications. During this adjustment period, it's important to track your symptoms so you can see the connection between your habit changes and your improvements. Consider keeping a simple journal where you note what time you ate your largest meal, whether you stayed upright after eating, how much you drank during meals, how quickly you ate, what time you went to bed, and what your reflux symptoms were like that day and night. This tracking will help you identify which changes are having the biggest impact on your symptoms and will keep you motivated during the adjustment period. So here's what I want you to do right now. If this video has been helpful and you can see how these 5 habits might be contributing to your reflux symptoms, please hit that like button to let me know this information was valuable to you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because I regularly share more strategies and insights for managing digestive health issues that become more common as we age. For those of you who stayed until the very end of this video, I want you to leave a comment below telling me which of these 5 habits you think might be the biggest contributor to your own reflux symptoms. Just write something like, I think habit number 3 is my biggest issue, or I recognize myself in habit number 1 and 5. This helps me understand what's resonating most with my audience and helps other viewers see that they're not alone in dealing with these challenges. And if you found this video helpful, there's another video appearing on your screen right now that dives deeper into specific foods and timing strategies for managing reflux after 60. So make sure you watch that next to get even more practical tools for improving your symptoms.